An annual faith-based event in New York City is taking place this year despite the coronavirus pandemic. 2021 New York Encounter features 3 days of virtual discussions and special exhibits. This year's theme is When Reality Hits. It examines at how the pandemic and other events of the past year have changed us and why there is hope for the future. Joining us now is one of the speakers this year, Archbishop Christophe Pierre, the Apostolic Nuncio to the United States. Your Excellency, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. I know that you've participated in New York Encounter several times over the years. What can you tell us about the event?
Well, I think it's a quite a meaningful event, which is linked with a kind of experience in the church. You know, it's a convocation made by a group of friends who belong to a movement which is quite well known in the church called Communion and Liberation. And as you know, this movement was founded more than 50 years ago by an Italian priest called Monsignor Giussani. Monsignor Giussani was a professor, an intellectual, but one day while traveling in a train, he met with a group of young people, and he was hit by the reality of these young people. You know, they were all Catholics, all Christians, but in the conversation with them, he realized that their life was disconnected with their faith, and this event changed his life. And instead of continuing to be a professor of university to make some research, he decided to become a kind of chaplain in a high school. And from that, he had quite a new experience. He made disciples and helped these young people precisely to make a personal encounter with Christ, but to connect their faith with their reality of young people. So now we have thousands of young and old people who belong to this movement, and every year they organize this event, which is a kind of encounter, much in line with the culture of encounter, which, you know, has been developed by the Pope Francis. So I have my sympathy myself for these people, and usually I participate with many others. The theme today is quite interesting. How the reality hits ourselves. You know, we have all been touched with the reality of this pandemic, which had changed our life. How do we react in front of this reality?
Well, you had just mentioned that the theme of this year's event. Can you talk a little bit more about that, responding to the pandemic, and what you hope people will take away from the event?
Well, I think the important, as I have experienced it, you know, during the last few years, is that these people come to have an encounter, you know, to have an encounter within themselves, but also to have an encounter with God. And what they find, and I hope they will find during this very special encounter, which it will be through, you know, through Zoom and all these instruments. But you know, we are all invited to experience who we are, you know. And to reflect upon our strong desires, our aspiration, and to try to make this strong aspiration in our humanity to correspond with Christ himself, and to realize through the encounter with others, through an experience of encounter, how the encounter with Christ corresponds to what we want to be deep down, and to change our humanity. So this is what, and we have all experienced during this year, you know, a kind of difficulty to live, you know, difficulty to find a meaning to our life. There is a kind of disappointment about life. So we really need to find a new hope. And I think it's important, in order to find it, to exchange, to have this encounter with others. This is what I expect. And if you look at the program, you know, we will have a huge number of people intervening, but they all go in that direction, kind of reflection about the reality, but always open to the research of the meaning. What does my life mean for me and in relationship with others?
Well, Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for coming on and talking about this very important event. We appreciate it.
Thank you.